McVay in his rookie year as a head coach. That might be a little too high of a bar or expectations for Nagy in his first year. But, I think people are very excited around the league about the team that the Bears have put together. And especially now we see the whole team. Roquan Smith is here. So,
do you sense a change? I know you talked about excitement and optimism. Probably that perfectly describes how these fans feel about Case Keenum. This guy has come in. He's always getting one of the biggest cheers whenever he runs out onto the field for training camp. Do you feel like a change has kind of come with the players surrounding Case, and do you sense that he's brought a different mindset?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one thing about this fan base, about Broncos fans dating back to the early 80s, I mean, ever since Elway got here, was this is a town and a fan base, it's a region really, who love their quarterbacks and have such high expectations for how their quarterback should perform on the field, but also who they should be in, kind of the stature that they should have. And Elway obviously was that guy. Peyton was that guy. And there, there's been some years in between. I think Jake Plummer had a lot of that to him. His personality was a little bit different, but over the last 3 years, I think Broncos fans, and really this franchise, the teammates, the guys around him, have really been missing that. And, I think maybe Trevor Siemian was put in a little bit of a difficult situation. He was a 7th-round draft pick, having to go through quarterback competitions each year. He never really got to establish himself as that guy. So it has been kind of a refreshing change to see Case Keenum be able to come in here and say, I am the guy. This is my team. I can do all the leadership stuff that I want to. And it's new for him too. I mean, he's been a good leader everywhere he's gone, but I remember talking to him during OTAs, and he was talking about really back to, being in college was the last time that it was really his team. But I think if you talk to guys that he played with in St. Louis, in LA, the one year that he was kind of really the starter with the Rams while Jared Goff was kind of sitting behind him for a little while, everybody loved him. I mean, he's like a guy who, he just does the right stuff. He works really hard. His teammates gravitate towards him. We've seen that already. The guys are really gravitating towards him. But the thing now is he's got to perform on the field, and all the feel-good stuff about his leadership and how he operates in the huddle, all that stuff, it's only going to last as long as they're winning, and they're going to need to win pretty quick for that honeymoon to last.
Yeah, you got to get that respect, and the only way to do that is play on the field. Mitchell Trubisky, the Bears quarterback, you mentioned the excitement there. 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last season, 12 starts for the Bears as a rookie. Where do you see his game going? I know that you mentioned with Nagy maybe some of that run-pass option being in the mix too.
Yeah, that's going to be a big deal for him. I mean, I don't think we can take a ton from his rookie year. They were pretty limited offensively last year. Their scheme, everything was very much designed to kind of take it easy on him. I mean, they weren't doing a lot of exotic stuff. I think we all, have some soft spot for John Fox around here, but nobody's going to say that he was like an offensive innovator and was super excited about the offensive things that they were doing in Chicago. So now pairing him with Nagy, who has integrated so many of those college concepts into his offenses in the past, dating all the way back to the times that he worked for Andy Reid in Philadelphia, but especially in Kansas City, where they did a lot of those option stuff, and not just the RPOs that we saw that the Eagles made really popular last year in the Super Bowl run, but a lot of like true college option stuff. They did a lot of spread stuff. So I want to see how much of that they're really able to get to with Mitchell Trubisky. They've got some really fun offensive pieces. Tariq Cohen, I think, is going to be really the kind of the X factor guy to watch there. What can they do with him? Getting him out of the backfield, spreading him out wide, just getting him the ball in space, that they didn't really fully take advantage of him last year with the Bears offense. So I think there could be some really fun things, and they certainly believe that they have their franchise quarterback and a guy that they can build around for the next 10 years.
Yep.
One of those young building blocks, like you mentioned, Roquan Smith. He hasn't been on the team long, only signed his contract on Monday. But, what do you think that we can learn about Roquan? I mean, this is only his first or second day on the field.
Yeah, well, we talked about how Broncos fans love quarterbacks. Bears fans, it's all about middle linebackers, right? I mean, it's such a big tradition. We saw that a couple weeks ago when Brian Urlacher got inducted in the Hall of Fame. So they love their middle linebackers, and they really need that kind of heart of the defense. And I think he's going to be a really nice guy to pair with Danny Trevathan, a guy who Broncos fans know really well, probably miss a lot.
A little bit. I miss him.
I'm sure Brandon Marshall down there misses his guy. So, I think he could be a really nice piece there that they're not going to have to take him off the field. And that's what's so rare, is when you need an inside linebacker who's going to be able to be a run stopper on first down, but also teams are throwing a lot on first down now, so you can't have a liability there. You need a guy who's going to be able to cover tight ends if he has to. He's going to be able to run sideline to sideline, and he's also going to have the command out there. And coming from Georgia, we saw the production that he had in college. This is not going to be too big for him. Yes, he missed 3 weeks of camp. The Bears started a week earlier than everybody else. He's missed 3 weeks. I bet his head is spinning out there today. Yeah. I mean, you have to come in, your first real day of training camp practice is against another team. Like, that's pretty intense. But I think he'll be able to catch up to speed pretty well. And, I think I think in a month we're not even going to be talking about his holdout. I mean, the last guy that we saw have a holdout like this was Joey Bosa, and
he's doing all right.
I think he's doing okay. Nobody's worried about that month that he missed, in August a couple years ago.
So Roquan Smith, the 8th overall pick out of Georgia, ended his 29-day holdout earlier this week. Lindsay, thank you so much for hopping on this morning.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Really appreciate it. Now let's hear from a couple of Broncos players on why they've been looking forward to these joint practices with the Bears.
The joint practices and training camp are so much fun. Like I said, it was fun last week seeing different colored jerseys, and now at practice it'll be even better. It's a reason, it's even more of a reason to come out here and compete and to get better. And so it'll be a great 2 days, and then Saturday, looking forward to going in there and getting win number 1 in the preseason.
You're going against guys that really can't or haven't game plan against you. It's more of a practice type thing, so you get to work a lot of new things. We go against each other every day, so what moves I'm going to come with. What I'm going to do. So it's always good to get just fresh opponents, new people to compete against and be able to work.
Just being able to test how you play against another team, getting to play them for 2 days before the big game is going to really tell us a lot about who we are as a team. So I'm excited to see how we come out of it.
Schematically, it's a different scheme. And you watch our defense now versus our offense. Our defense has seen these plays for almost 3 weeks now. So it's easy for them. So to see a different scheme, to play against a different body type, that's going to be huge for our team as far as schematics and for our evaluation of our team. So it's going to be huge next 2 days.
Broncos looking forward to practicing with the Bears. Head coach Vance Joseph said, biggest thing, no fighting out there. Don't want to see any of that these 2 days of practices. Our thanks to Lindsey Jones of USA Today for hopping on this morning. Now we're welcoming to the set the main man, Steve.
I'm happy to be here with you.
Steve, what are your thoughts on joint practices? You like them?
Oh, yeah, I did. We didn't do it very much. I think we did it one time. We practiced against the Carolina Panthers up in Greeley. We had a great time and had some great battles, and I think it got us ready for that game that we played against them that weekend, and it upped the intensity.
A couple of former Broncos out there on this field this morning. Let's start with Benny Fowler, the Broncos wide receiver, caught the last pass from Peyton Manning in Super Bowl 50. What do you think it's going to be like for him out there today?
Well, right now I looked at the depth chart, and it looks like he's the either 7th or 8th receiver. He's deep down on the depth chart there. Not sure how many reps he's going to get. But, man, I'm expecting him really to kind of do what he did when he was here. He's a big guy. He makes big plays. The one thing that I wasn't so crazy about with Benny Fowler was I never really saw him get off, get wide open.
Separation.
Yeah, get that separation from the defenders. And, hopefully for him, he'll be able to do that, though.
It always seemed like he was around the ball during a big play. Think about that 3rd down against the Steelers. Of course, you mentioned the 2-point conversion, the last pass of Peyton Manning's career. Had to give the ball back.
Yep.
Peyton signed a jersey. Had to give the ball back. But one of the things I thought was most interesting about Benny's career in Denver was the fact that he was such an integral part on special teams. And I think that you mentioned it being 7th and 8th on the wide receiver depth chart. Yeah, that's not a great sign for him, but like in Denver, I think he can make some strides on that special team line as a gunner, getting downfield and making some tackles.
3 touchdowns last season for the Broncos. And then, of course, middle linebacker Danny Trevathan. We talked about him earlier. He led the team in tackles back in 2013, had 105 that season. Broncos maybe missing Danny Trevathan a little bit, like a fiery guy out there.
Yeah, man, he's a very physical inside linebacker. He's the type of linebacker you want who, gets to the ball. And, with them adding on Roquan Smith, I can imagine that's a special group, that middle linebacker group there. But, yeah, I would imagine sometimes when we look on TV and see Danny Trevathan making those big hits, I know he got fined, a big fine.
Yeah, he had a big one last year. Yeah, that was a bad hit.
But still, you like to see that aggressiveness and him going to the ball. And hopefully they'll do that to any of our players out here today. play.
That's what happens when you win a Super Bowl, right? You have to lose good players, and Danny was a part of that Super Bowl attrition once in 2016. I think that, like you mentioned, Phil, his ability to cover tight ends is special. I think that in space, he's got great quickness. He's got great speed, able to keep up with some of those bigger, faster tight ends, those frontline guys like a Rob Gronkowski. When you play teams like that, he's instrumental, and I think that while, yes, he is missed here, I miss his enthusiasm, I definitely think he made a great move for his career by going to Chicago.
One of my favorite Danny Trevathan stories was when his knee injury coming back from that, said that he had a knee replacement.
Misspoke.
Not
quite
that.
that.
Yeah, doctors are from around the country were calling, hey, let me know about this. So that was pretty funny. Let's talk about the Broncos offensive line for a second. That was really a group that shined in the preseason opener against the Vikings.
Yeah, I thought they came out and played well. They protected the quarterback well. They did some good run blocking as well. And they need to continue to improve, though. I don't think it's enough. I don't think we've really seen enough to say, all right, we give them the stamp of approval, but they've certainly gotten off to a really good start, and hopefully they'll continue on this trajectory.
And that was without Ron Leary against the Vikings, so you want to see that unit be able to come together for sure, but I thought that it was a great first start for a unit that really had a lot of question marks coming into camp.
Yeah, and I think that some of those question marks were answered, as we heard yesterday from head coach Vance Joseph and offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave. They were happy with not only the first line offensive line, but I think they were pretty impressed with the backups.
You know, the guys put together some good efforts. We saw every, blitz known to man, which we knew we would. When you play Cincinnati when Coach Zim was there, or Atlanta when I was there with him, or in Minnesota, you're going to get the kitchen sink. So it was a good test for us. Was pleased with the O-line. We want more time, we always want more, but we want those units to work together, because that's how you judge a real O-line, is all five guys together.
That was a positive for us, in my opinion. The O-line played really, really good in the running game and in the pass game, so I was very, very pleased with that group. Not just the first five, but the second five also played well.
And there is offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave. I think that hearing from him and the enthusiasm that he showed for the offensive line, especially those second line guys, when Royce Freeman hit Paydirt, I thought the blocking scheme, especially some of those guys getting downfield, was very, very impressive. So I know that was a big question a lot of fans had coming into camp. Hopefully some of those fears were put at ease with Game 1's performance.
Yeah, and a big year for Bill Musgrave. We heard Vance Joseph call him a great communicator. He's going to be calling the Broncos plays this year, his first real full season with the Broncos, so we'll see what Bill Musgrave can do this year. And now we welcome to the set, Orange and Blue 760, our Broncos insider,
there he is.
Andrew Mason.
Hi, guys.
Mace, what's going on?
It's good to have another team out here. Look, one of the reasons why they built this Pat Bowlen Fieldhouse, the balcony on which we sit right now, is because they want a facility that could host another team. The Bears can come in. They can take care of all their business for the day here, full locker room, so you don't have to change at the hotel before going over to the facility. Remember last year the Broncos out with the 49ers did all their prep at the hotel. Guys were in uniform at the hotel and then bust over to the 49ers facility. This is how you do it, and I imagine in future years we'll see a lot more teams continuing to come out here like the Bears did this year and the Niners did here 2 years ago.
We just talked about Roquan Smith in the previous segment. I know that's a player that a lot of these fans want to see go full tilt. A guy that I know Bronco fans want to see go full tilt is Bradley Chubb. What do you think he's going to see against another shirt?
Well, it's going to be good for him because especially on those plays where he's stand up on the edge, of course, sometimes he has his hand in the dirt, sometimes he's stand up. And when you're standing up on the edge, you've got a huge responsibility against a team that does a lot of RPO, run pass option, and you've got to stay at home. Now, the advantage for Bradley Chubb is he's coming straight from the college ranks at NC State, so he has some experience dealing with it, but discipline is even more important at this level. In college, you can kind of get caught behind a play, but your athleticism is such to where you can catch up to it. That's not going to be the case at the pro level. If you're out of position, the play's gone, and you're basically ineffective in that. We've seen that over the years. You can go back to 2011 when Tim Tebow was Broncos quarterback, and the Raiders had no edge discipline, and Willis McGahee and Tim Tebow were just running through and around them. So for a guy like Bradley Chubb, I think today seeing a lot of RPO from the Bears is going to be crucial, especially because Denver will see this type of offense over the course of the year, most importantly the 2 games against the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where Matt Nagy, of course, leaving to head to Chicago. A lot of talent out on this field now. Of course, Roquan Smith, Bradley Chubb, 2 top 10 picks from this last season. Let's get to the thing that everybody was talking about yesterday. The players are lucky that they have their helmets on because the haircuts yesterday, it's a tradition that goes across the NFL. But what are your thoughts on it, Mace?
I hate this.
I like the haircut.
I feel nothing but empathy for those guys having to go through this. If I was dictator of sports, this is a tradition I'd kill, to be honest with you. But hey, it is what it is.
It's tough. Some guys lost eyebrows. I know Deshaun Hamilton might have had the worst one with the little. I know he's got they kept his dreads or twists and shaved the rest of his head bald. So definitely those 2 guys, by the way. Cortland Sutton also had like stars carved into his hair. It was a situation.
I know, Matt, that you're a person who really cares about his hair a lot. So this is
I'm getting the eyebrows. I'm not. Don't touch my hair.
This is a tradition that you also don't like. I'm not a huge fan of it either. But let's get a behind-the-scenes look at what some of the Broncos vets did with the rookies.
Z, tell the folks what you're doing to me, dog. I'm doing all right, bro.
You can't do rookie, haircuts unless you cut the first round pick, so 55 is definitely getting a great cut.
Had to go through the rookie stage, so I'm up next and the whole rookie class up next, so I'm just going to take it with a grain of salt and just get over it.
No, Chubb's ready. He's excited. He's like, man, just take care of me. I'm going to look after him, but I'm going to mess it up.
Do you believe that Shane is actually going to take care of you?
I do not.
I'm surprised, y'all. It's going to be a work of art.
Rookie cut, you know what I'm saying? Fresh,
He showed me pictures of his, and I know that he's going to try to get the rookie back. So I don't believe he's going to take care of me at all.
Your eyebrows will be gone for like 2 months, maybe 3, depending, on the growth of your eyebrows. But I'd much rather cut my eyebrows and cut all my hair off.
Guys with like long hair and dreads and stuff, they take eyebrows and facial hair. So I would much rather have my hair taken because eyebrows take like 4 months to grow back.
You take him to the barbershop here?
Oh yeah,
the one that's here.
That's called the team bathroom. Team bathroom, barbershop.
All right, guys, let's wrap up the show here. We get out of that haircut piece. Our hair, of course,
intact.
Okay.
Intact.
A final thought from each of you guys, Mace.
I'm just excited to see the Broncos go against another team. Look, with reps limited, you only had the 4 preseason games. These 2 practices, they're controlled, but it's still kind of like a preseason game in that you get to see your guys go up against another team. You get to learn a little bit more about them. I think we'll probably learn some things about some young players today.
Vance Joseph said that Von Miller has the ability to wreck a practice. This is a practice that Vance does not have to worry about Von wrecking. He can just let him go full tilt. I'm looking forward to seeing what he and Chubb can do when they're on the field for an extended time.
Yeah, and of course, check out DenverBroncos.com a little later. We'll have a lot of great behind-the-scenes coverage of the Bears' trip here to Denver. Make sure to check out Orange and Blue 760 to get live analysis and
we'll be all over the place. I'll be up here. Steve,
exactly.
I think, is going to be roaming around on the field on the south side. So we're going to have you covered all bases, both fields, let you know what's going on.
Yeah, that's Orange and Blue 760. And, of course, thanks to all the fans who were able to make it out here to training camp this year. Of course, today, the final day for fans to be out here. But we'll have you covered. Make sure to check out tomorrow's practice. Right here, we'll have the only access to find out what's going on. So be sure to check that out tomorrow. Until then, for Andrew Mason and Matt Boyer, our thanks to Lindsey Jones and Steve Atwater for hopping on earlier. I'm Phil Milani. This has been Broncos Camp Live, powered by Ford.